I'd just finished working at Game, and I was living back in South Wales at the time. And I was working as a web designer for a company, probably earning about 25 grand a year with a mortgage. And I saw this episode of Top Gear where Jeremy Clarkson drove this Aston Martin DB9 from the Top Gear studio in London down to the south of France, and he raced James May and Richard Hammond on a train to see if he could get there quicker. And he did. Spoiler alert, he won. And I saw that car and thought, that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. I would love to have one of them. And then throughout the next maybe 10 years or so, I was thinking, oh, I'd love to have one of them. Whenever one passed me on the street, it was, I'd love to have one of them. Oh, it'd be great. It was more of a dream. It never became any sort of reality. And suddenly it sort of clicked that, why don't I just get one? And the first thing to do is to actually drive one to see if I do genuinely like it. So I set myself a target of, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have one of them. So I went to the dealership in Wilmslow in South Manchester, and I test drove one. And funnily enough, I did quite like it. And then I worked out the price of it, and it was actually a lot cheaper than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I'll tell you, it was a second-hand DB9. It was 6 years old, and it was £46,000, which is a lot cheaper than I thought it would be. So I said, right, what do I need to put down as a deposit on this car? Or if I'm going to pay it up front, where can I get that money from? Well, I've got this much money coming in from my company at the end of the year. In April, I think it was. I'm going to need a little bit extra, so I'm going to need a little bit of a bank loan. Can I get that bank loan? Yes, I can. How am I going to do that? All right, well, let's just put a deposit down on it and buy it. None of that would have happened if I hadn't made it happen and said, right, well, I'm going to go and test drive it. If I had just kept in the dreaming phase of seeing it go past me on the motorway and going, I'd love to have one of them one day. And there's so many people never get out of that phase. They just think, I'd love to be able to do this. I'd love to travel the world. I'd love to go to Japan, which I'm going to this year, by the way, because it's my 50th. I'd love to own an Aston Martin. Well, do it then. Find out, what does it cost? Drive it. See what you actually need to do. What kind of money do you need to raise for it? How do you make that happen? Don't just sit there and dream about it. Make it happen. So if you say that's an elevated to-do list, then yeah, I suppose it is. But that's the way I do things.
I was being dry.
You're always being dry, Doug.
No. Okay. So what would you say is a big, hairy, audacious goal for you then at this moment in time that you're okay to share with the world? Because sometimes
a big, hairy, audacious goal.
They're tucked away, you know.
Okay. Well, I did have a big, hairy, audacious goal that I was going to do this year that I have abandoned. But I've abandoned it for political reasons. A few years ago, I set myself a target of I wanted to go to a Super Bowl. And again, I worked out which cities were hosting the Super Bowls, what the costs were going to be, which was the best one to go to. And I ended up going to the Super Bowl in 2020 in Miami, which was February, right before lockdown. So only just made it. But it was an amazing experience, seeing the Jets go over as they sang the national anthem. A fantastic experience. And I set myself a target after that of I want to go to a World Cup final, a football World Cup final. And the obvious one, I didn't want to go to Qatar. I didn't want to go to Russia. The obvious one was going to be New York, because it's in New York this year. But the costs for it were not what a normal World Cup final would be. So the cheapest ticket for the World Cup final this year is £4,000 and you're up in the gods. If you want pitch side, forget about it, as they would say in New York. And because of the whole Trump thing, I don't like what's going on in America. I've decided, you know what? I'm not going to give them the money. I could do it, but I'm not going to. So I've abandoned that about going to a World Cup final. I'll wait until FIFA gets rid of corruption, which will probably never happen. And it's something I'm comfortable doing. It's not the cost, it's the people. But one target I have got for this year, which I'm still having to put strategies in place to work on because it's something I'm not there yet doing, is I've got many, but one particular YouTube channel that I need to get to 10,000 subscribers. Until I get it to 10,000 subscribers, its reach doesn't increase. And that's a stepping stone goal because I'll eventually want to get it to 100,000 subscribers because I want one of them silver plaques. I want one of them YouTube silver plaques, and I'm going to have one. But I need to get it to 10,000 before the reach increases and the views and the subscribers go up a lot more because it's a cumulative effect once you get over that boundary. But at the moment, it's just under 5,000 subscribers. So if I keep going the way I'm going, at the level I'm going, I'm not going to do that this year. It's going to be 2029, I think, before it hits 10,000. And that's not good enough. That's not going to happen So I'm putting in practices now for tricks, techniques, things I can do to inject those subscribers, but not cheating, not paying for it. I won't do that. Organically to get that to 10,000. That's my big audacious goal, because if I keep going the way I'm going, I'm nowhere near it. So I need to make changes for it to happen, and it has to be this year.